things also. So you guys can come here, one at a time, and talk about the tree. Okay. I'm gonna leave the pen here, and I'm gonna be sitting. So, who is coming here to talk about the first one? Now, there are two rules. I have two teenagers, right? Either you volunteer, or you're voluntold. You pick your choice.
Do you go as a group?
You can go in as a
You
group.
can go as a group.
You can- It's just two people, right?
Remember, everybody's gonna have enough opportunity between now and the end of session to do group as well as individual. So today is not the only time you're gonna get up. From now onwards, it's my time to see it, how you are presenting your idea.
That works.
Remember, all we are looking for is tree.
Alright guys,
Oh, put the tree on the,
Put the tree on there, draw it on there. That's why I left the marker there for you, just like what I draw it. Okay. So site administrator can create any user types. Let's start with that. No, you're not talking the detail. Just draw only the tree.
okay.
What are the different scenarios that you need to worry about?
Oh, okay, okay.
We'll do that part after everybody's done the tree.
Okay.
No,
That's the details.
you're looking at a detail,
So
you're
what
not
are
talking
the
the
details?
steps. You're looking at it, what are the, how many test cases you needed for that? Let's talk about it, and that's what we're talking.
For the login,
No, for creating any user types.
okay. Maybe,
Remember the tree that I drew it
Yeah,
for searching,
yes.
right? And then we said there are 8 test cases now, that's what we're looking for this.
okay, we didn't do that, we have to, we let somebody go and then we.
Alright?
we can go. We will try and then write it on answer.
Yeah.
we have to- So,
As a team, whatever you want to decide.
We're gonna put handwriting, so.
SA is for site administrator.
Okay.
Dealers. Users. Representative. Area manager.
Okay.
Regional manager and designer.
actually for the site administrator, and it says site administrator can create any user type, so, our team came up with, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, what do you call?
Test case.
Test cases for this, requirement, so, based on our understanding, site administration can create, the user types. So user types could be lender user, dealer user, outbound representatives, and area manager, and
Yes.
regional manager. Thank you.
So yeah.
Go ahead, Arshad.
So is the dealers are the users, or we are strictly, this requirement is strictly talking about the users, right?
Okay.
So, probably dealer user is only the one.
Yeah. Right, because dealers are the company, they are not the actual users.
Yeah, that's it. So dealers are gone.
Right?
Now dealer user, lender user, outbound representatives, area manager, and regional manager. So we have 5 test cases now for the,
Okay.
Is there anyone else missing? Does anybody know anything, which user is missing here?
Did you cover all the user types?
All the user types.
Okay, no?
I was confused, there is a super user.
Okay.
That's the site
Site administrator are the same.
Yeah, that's all of it. I
That
think
they are
that's all.
same, but
Same.
who can create super user, another super user? Is it only gonna be one, or there will be multiple? Or site administrator, whatever
Site
terminology,
administrator can create super user.
then I don't see that over there, right?
right,
Because site administrator can create other site administrators.
so,
So super users.
so we have 6 now.
What else is missing?
So if they are checking whether they need to, so that user is an existing or a new user. So subpart.
No, it's.
So-
So if there is
Come
an,
here and draw it to tell us what you meant it,
so,
when you say it's another map.
Okay, I think.
so in the same map, but there is a sub level of each.
So are you guys done with your
Yes,
map?
we came up with these, we don't have
Come
any
ahead and fix
sub-levels,
it. Whatever you feel is needed, come ahead and fix it.
So, ours is also the same, but there is one more.
Okay?
So, we are checking, if there is an existing dealer or a new.
Okay?
So that is means existing or new. This will go to all.
Okay. So help me understand existing, so if somebody is already exists in the system and you try to recreate that,
No,
then,
if it is an existing,
Research.
so the site administrator have the capacity to search whether that name is existing or not.
this is not searching, right, this is creating.
Yeah,
So, let's say if I'm a dealer user, I'm a Bob Smith, you're trying to create me. What does existing mean?
you're there, already there.
Okay, if I'm already there, what should happen? Then you don't need to create, okay, what do you,
So,
if it's already existing, why am I trying to create it?
So there is a duplication sometimes, some people they are actually giving the information for duplication.
Okay, so that's, I'm trying to understand it. If a user exists in the system and you're trying to create it, what do you have expectation what should happen?
actually, it's pop-up a message.
So wouldn't we,
Okay, where do you see in the requirement that it should not happen, right? 'Cause remember, we had that discussion last Thursday. It says, what if there is a two Bob Smith? Then how should they be created?
You add a
They
number,
would have a numeric coding
Yeah.
after,
Right, so how do you know I'm existing?
right,
That's where I'm struggling.
okay.
How do you know I'm another Bob Smith that you're not trying to create? What makes a user unique? Let me talk about it here.
The characters that are used in the.
Their username, means,
The username is system generated, right?
Yeah,
So how do I know it's unique?
that Ohio, Franklin,
That's the dealer
yeah,
franchise number, it's not dealer user. Remember, these are the users. Those are not the dealers.
the numeric number after the first and last name.
The number will be sequential.
Number will automatically increment, right?
Yeah, yeah.
not number, the name,
So,
first name and last name, any.
Yeah, but what you're telling me, I can't have two Bob Smith in the system, and I'm just telling you there can be two Bob Smith in the system. Because we asked that question, and he said that, hey, if there are two Bob Smith, first one created with B Smith, other one created with B Smith 01.
Then address,
Where do you see it, the users are provided address? Did you see it anywhere in the requirements document? Don't guess, please.
okay,
I think you are deviating, so your focus needs to be on this requirement only, okay?
okay.
This
What are
particular
you trying to do
requirement,
it for this thing?
So this thing first,
This is the step, then.
existing or not?
Right, but what is the existing mean here? That's what I'm asking you a question. How do I know the user exists?
That name.
Where does it say that system should prevent recreating existing users?
It doesn't.
So why are you putting that requirement yourself?
yeah, unless it's specified in the requirement, then those restrictions, then those are the ones you should be testing, but it's not, no longer there, so, yeah, you shouldn't be testing for that condition.
So the way you put it up, right, existing in you, I think you're confusing it between the dealer and dealer user.
So I'm actually.
Think about dealer user is a person, somebody working at the dealership,
Yes,
Okay.
no.
right? So if I'm a Bob Smith working today at Germain, leave there, go tomorrow to some other, like it's Ford or whatever that, why can't it be created again? Why not? Because dealer is associated with every dealer user type. I just changed the dealer, I should be having a new record, right? Because I'm no longer working at that, I work now here. My credential should be different.
Yes.
Right? So what is the definition of existing? That's I'm asking the question. Right? To me, there is nothing called existing,
Okay.
right? Because as long as I can provide the data, I could create another user. All it just says, it gives me a different username. Right? Any other tree aspect that you, or just all existing and new for each one?
Yeah, that's very.
So I had a different
Okay,
thought process.
okay,
So the top remains the same but not existing or new,
okay.
but for each, category, like lender, user, you would have to either enter the correct, or sorry, the valid data or the invalid data
Okay.
for each one.
And why do I need to do that?
Because to ensure that you're entering the correct information for each. Essentially, if,
Go ahead.
essentially, if you entered the incorrect data that was provided, you shouldn't be able to create that user.
Okay.
That's kind of where I
And
was
where would I find what is the required data or
in
valid
the
data?
requirements document.
Is it in the requirements document? Or it's in design document? But you're on the right track, right?
Yeah, so that's kind
It's-
of where I was thinking.
Either I can successfully create the user, or system is giving me error saying that something is missing.
Yeah, so that's kind of, we differentiated on the thinking for that, but that's kind of what I was thinking it should be.
Yeah. So for each one of them, you're gonna have a valid data and invalid data.
Yeah, kind of like the login example from before.
Do I need to also test the scenario where I enter the exact same data and recreate the user? What should happen?
So trying to enter the information for a user that already exists should give you an error or maybe a screen that would say that the user already exists in the system.
It should, what is the requirement?
Is there any requirement?
Has there any restriction? Anywhere in the requirement document just says that I can't enter the same person again and create him.
No, because it said that you can have the same name repeated, but they will generate a different
Right.
numeric code after.
Do I need to test for it?
So you might test for that, I mean, as part of this requirement, or you specifically test in that different requirement where you have unique number, right? So you have to simulate that scenario there.
So yes, you would have to.
So how many test cases in this tree? At least 12,
12.
right?
Yeah,
Alright.
Everybody with that page, Y12?
No.
What's your concept? So all they say is that this thing is gonna be different,
all three exist.
Right, this is gonna be
Yeah, they don't.
and then that will repeat for each one of that. Yeah, so that's up 12. Good?
Yeah, so creating a new one, so we're gonna enter all the correct information. Select incorrect information, we go to next correct information, and then we're gonna
Any questions before we move to the second one?
Yes.
Alright. Who wants to talk about this?
Can I ask one thing for previous?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, so if it is a valid, the test pass. If it is not a valid, then is it different? Am I thinking too much? I don't know. Just kind
So-
of wondering.
So here it is. We did the user login, right? We did 3 scenarios. If I try to log in with a valid user ID and invalid password, is that a defect? So depending on what your definition of invalid data is,
Okay.
are you able to create, can you create a user with invalid data? Then it's defect. If you cannot create a user with invalid data, then the system is working as expected,
Okay. Thank you.
right? So depending on what your viewpoint is from the invalid data and what is the outcome expected. Okay. Since all the 3 groups came except your group, why don't you go the next one for the password? password must be 8 characters and require at least one uppercase and a special character. There you go. What did you specify in dealer?
Dealer user.
But that password is for, could be for any user. Doesn't have to be only for dealer user.
Pardon?
That password must be 8 characters, is for any users, not just for the dealer user. All is just say, hey, if I'm building a password, what is the requirement? Build a password.
It should be in number, including uppercase.
So how do you test for it?
It's decent, so what we actually focus on the first, a lot more, because we were a bit confused with the password. So we basically came up with the password, it should contain 8 characters, which should be uppercase and lowercase, and we should be able to test it if it's valid or invalid.
What test cases was related to test for that value? How do I know that system meets this requirement? That's the question.
So we should be able to put in 8 characters.
So in your scenario, right, so you are saying you are trying to create a dealer user and you will supply the valid password, which is one uppercase and special character, right, 8 characters. And then for dealer same, when you are creating dealer user, you will supply invalid password, right, which could be whatever the numbers, which doesn't meet that format. Is that what you are trying to say there?
Yeah, so
Right?
we should be able to put in 8 characters without uppercase or lowercase. Which
Okay.
should give us a result saying that it's invalid.
Okay,
And then a test case where we are able to put in a uppercase and lowercase and all
Right.
special characters.
okay.
That should give us a result.
Where did you draw those three?
So just draw the tree under invalid, right? What is that you are supplying? What makes it invalid, right? So you have the tree over there, you are saying user valid and invalid passwords, right?
Okay. So basically, give it a breakdown where.
Yeah, you have to break it down, right? What is that you are
And
supplying?
then special
Yeah,
characters.
Yeah,
so build that tree.
Okay, so you need to wipe it off.
That's fine, like the first level was okay, just build that tree, that's what they were talking about.
So there's.
Okay, so where is that tree for the valid and invalid input starting? Is it for the special character or non-special character?
So this one, well, invalid comes from this one.
Okay, then just draw it underneath the invalid, right, that arrows, yeah. Just take one from all the way to the valid input. But when you do a no special characters, why would you have a valid input?
Well, I wouldn't have a special, I wouldn't have a valid. So,
But is it no special character is invalid input?
yes.
Anybody else has any other ways that they've drawn?
We did in a different way.
Okay, just draw it up, okay,
Draw it up.
on the board.
Right, that's what we come.
What is correct and incorrect? I understood the other ones.
Might be right or wrong, like.
So explain what your thought process is there, right?
Right here, so it says password must be 8 characters and require at least one uppercase and special character. So the password, the name, we could break down to 8 characters. When we put the 8 characters, it could be, if we put the right one, exact one, valid, invalid, one uppercase, same thing. On the sub level, valid or invalid. Special character, even if we put the special character on the password, it could be valid. Valid and invalid for all 3 of them. And then that one is, what was the?
All of them valid and one of them invalid.
All of them valid, one of them. So is that, are you talking about,
Two more branches. Two more branches.
Okay. So I think I understand the thought process.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any different input?
Yes. If it is 8 character, it's invalid because they are saying and. So they wanted all these 8 characters and one.
So how would you draw it?
So I drew.
that would be the third tree, yeah, it's perfectly fine,
Go ahead and draw it here.
So I'm saying this 1, 2, and 3. So this is 8 character and this is what is that? Uppercase and this is special character. So this is password. So 1 plus 2 plus 3. That is valid, invalid. So there is a chance of 1 plus 2. This is invalid.
Okay.
The same way 1 plus 3. It's invalid. Then the same way 2 plus 3 invalid. Either 1, it is 1, 2 or 3 is anyway invalid.
So what is 1, 2 and 3?
She says that like it's.
One's
She's
uppercase.
testing for all 3 conditions that are given. same
Oh, I
time.
see.
So, you are in the right path, but here's the different way you can draw it. Okay. Right. So I'm gonna do it here, right? So think about it, right? So I can use a simple thing as a length, right? If the password is less than 8, equal to 8, and greater than 8, right? That's the first condition. As long as it's this or this, I'm not even gonna worry about testing it. This is invalid, right? This is invalid. Okay? Then with 8, I can say, does it contain an uppercase? Or no uppercase? Right? So my uppercase is invalid, right? No uppercase is invalid. This one can contain either a special character or no special character. Right, so this is valid. So think about it, how many trees you have drawn versus if I look at it, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm done. I accomplish exact same scenario, right?
So everybody gonna write differently, okay? Because even if you, within your team, if you both write, you both will come up with a different tree,
Yes.
okay? So there is no right and wrong answer. But as long as you are able to test
Right.
requirement fully, we are good.
Right. So the other thing is also, right, as you get more mature in practicing, right, and you say, hey, do I need to write this many test cases or have this many redundant, right? So the question here is, right, so if you just say it's 1 and 3, right, and then you're trying to also do individual 1, 2, and 3, so that some are redundant,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I'm trying to like it's test the same condition again with a little bit different variation. Versus here, I'm testing what is my super condition, right? So the biggest thing is it must be 8 characters, right? So if it is anything less or more than 8 characters, doesn't matter whether it contains a special character or not, I don't care. Right? So that's the way I kind of wrote it, right? You still wrote it, right? You can still run all these test cases and say, yeah, it is meeting that. Or you can just say, hey, let me just focus on this 5 8s and I'm still done.
So there is a 5 test cases. 1,
2,
3, 4.
you good?
How many test cases for each one? 4?
Total 5.
Total 5.
That Dilip came up with. Now, everybody came up with different test cases.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Right.
She came up with 8 test cases.
But I was actually confused sir, because that 1, 2, and 3, I was in that it was in a whether I need to check or not. In that case, it is fine.
But
Well,
you have
but-
redundant.
The way you have checked this thing,
Uh-huh.
if you don't do this, you can't eliminate it.
Yes. So if it is invalid, we don't want to go for that, right?
No. You have to run all those test cases.
Okay.
You can't just say, hey, I'm running 1 and I'm done.
Okay.
You cannot prove that this requirement is fulfilled unless you have all those 5 working
Or in past.
in
Basically.
past. Right? Which you cannot do it if you eliminate this 3 in your scenario. In your scenario, you have to run all this 8 in order to meet that.
Okay.
So the one that we came up with.
This one, don't know. So the way you came up with, you treated each one as a dependent condition. You cannot treat each one of them as independent. It has to build on top of it. So if you look at it, I build on top of it.
So we're building on the 8 characters, right?
Yes.
So 8 characters at the top and then this is the software.
Because that's the key, right? So if you read that requirement, I may have uppercase and 20 characters. I don't care. As long as it's anything not equal to 8, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Makes sense now.
Good? Right. Who is a tree for lender is required for credit application?
You have the credit application, it's either you have a lender or you don't have a lender.
Should you just say it's this, right?
Yeah,
Lender or no lender?
yeah.
Anybody else?
We came up with something like.
Same.
Yeah.
How do I know whether it's a lender or no lender? Where would I find it?
Data. Data.
Where, which data? Remember, there are a couple of key things. That's part of the reason why we asked you guys to read the documents first, right? 3C and a T. If you do it, lender is required for credit application. Where else it's gonna give you that information? Is it consistent or not? Right, so if you look into the design document, right, there are a whole bunch of table definitions or attribute information about each one of them. This is about credit application, right? So you look into the credit application and says, how many lenders I can specify? Is it a required field or a not required field? And that's how you do the consistency check. Okay? Because without that, how do you know which data you need to provide, where you need to provide, and how that impacts your tree? Everybody with me on that? Okay. What about the last one?
So, so what we came up with is, so the update credit information, and either they can update or they cannot update. So if they can update, then it is invalid. If they cannot update, then it is valid? I don't know.
Yes?
Okay, so update credit application, it's either the dealer has access to update the credit application or no access. And we talked about, for example, you submit a credit application and it goes to the lender, and the lender would update either approve or disapprove. And I asked that question on Thursday when we said that, imagine having the dealer going in to change the decision that the lender has done. So it's either, if they have access to change that or they do not.
So, let's talk about a scenario. I went to a dealer to fix my car. Dealer is submitting my application. He asked me for some additional information that I didn't have it. I said, I'll bring it tomorrow. So when dealer comes back tomorrow, I go back to dealer tomorrow, and at that point, I provide him. What was the status of my credit application?
Incomplete.
Pending, incomplete? Okay, so I'm changing that status, right, when I go and submit it? Am I not?
Yes.
So how does this fit in?
So they are able to update this.
I don't know, I'm asking you guys a question. How did you interpret this requirement? That's the first thing.
They cannot.
They cannot, so that means if I don't have information, he has to restart from scratch every time?
What I understand from this is that once you file in an application and it gets to the member, you don't have access to any of these.
Ah,
One thing.
so you're saying is, this thing is valid only after I submit the application, not before? Where does it say that?
It does.
It doesn't, right?
I think this information is not complete.
So why didn't you ask?
He is able to update pending or incomplete, but he is not able to update approved or.
Where is it written in the requirement?
Does it say in the requirement that they are able to change from pending to something else, or even assign pending status? Is that in the requirement anywhere? It's not, so.
So what did you understand this requirement as? That's the question.
I mean, dealer, they cannot update the credit card status.
But I just asked you a scenario, right?
So we can check whether it is as submitted or not. If it is
Okay.
submitted, they cannot. If it is not submitted,
Where is it written? In the requirements. You're making up now the rule that was not there in the document.
you can ask.
Right, yes?
So, previous to the dealer shall not be able to update credit application status, it's written here that credit application status needs to be pending for new applications. So when that says that they're not able to update that, I'm confused between requirement 2.67 and 8.